Hi, Ronan Gautam, aka The Seeker of Wisdom. I'm a manifestation coach, and in this video, we're going to be talking a little bit about things to take note of once you have manifested your SP. Now, before I do so, I'd like to remind you guys I am available for coaching, so I offer hourly, monthly, email, and DM coaching along with premium coaching, which is basically unlimited calls and unlimited DMs. So, the links for that will be in the description down below, where you'll have access to an FAQ page where you guys can find out all that you need with regards to coaching, and you guys can reach out to me via Instagram or email for pricing information and to figure out what plans may be suitable for you. I also have a Facebook group where I upload resources from time to time, as well as you guys can ask me questions anonymously if you wish to do so. I have a mailing list where I post articles from time to time along with my latest office work coaching. And last but not least, I also have a Manifest Your SP course, which has been received really well by you guys, so thank you so much. But essentially, the idea, for those of you who don't know about the course, is it's designed for anyone who's into manifesting your SP and self-improvement in general. So the course has been revamped recently after feedback from existing clients as well. So the idea is that you are taken from the beginning of your SP journey, right? So I consider you to be a newbie right from the start, and I go from things like acronyms, who is Neville Goddard, right? Like everything, like we start from the basics. And I take you through every single thing you need to know when it comes to manifesting an SP. And what's neat about this course is that, one, it needs your active participation, right? So there'll be quizzes, there'll be worksheets. So it's a very hands-on approach here. It's very detailed. And if you know my posts, if you have seen me on Instagram, if you have seen me explain things, in my Q&A and everything, one of the things that you guys always say, it's very detailed, it's very down to the point, and I keep it straight, right? And the same concepts and the same principles also applies to this course as well. So it's easy to read, no BS, but at the same time it's super thorough, so that you have all that you need. And what's neat is that you will have access to this content for lifetime, and if you buy it right now, you'll also get the upgrades for free. So it's really a bargain. As I'm going to be adding more things, I'm going to be bumping up the prices even more. I just bumped it up recently as well. So at the time of this video, when you guys are watching, it's right after the time when I bumped up the price, just for context. So I will be bumping up the prices even more as I add more content into it, as I add like my other courses into it as well. So it's going to become one big bundled course as well. So really, if you are in it right now, if you see the price, it's really affordable. So you are getting it for a bargain right now, guys. So check it out. And be sure to ask me if you have any questions. So without further ado, guys, let's get to it. So this is one of the reasons why I was laughing a bit in the beginning, was because this is my second take of the video actually. The first kind of just went off like after 17 minutes, so I kind of had to take a little break, kind of drink some water before I came back. But I felt like, what, like this is gonna be good right now. So fingers crossed. So totally no pressure there. So yeah, what kind of prompted this video was one of you guys actually asked me these questions in my content suggestions form, right? So you guys asked me, well, what are the things that we need to do or take note of when we are manifesting, and like once we have manifested an SP, right? And there were a few variations of it as well, I noticed, even in the past. And funny enough, I've only done like one video in my FB group like last year about this topic. And I felt like this one, like with the knowledge that I have now, because we are ever evolving, right? So I felt like this was worth like discussing, and I don't think a lot of people in the community actually discuss about this. I may be wrong about that, but you guys can let me know, right? So what do you actually do, or what do you actually take note of once you have manifested your SP? Couple things, right? So I'll break this down, and I'll try to keep this as brief and like down to the point as well. I'll do my best not to go in a tangent. Anyway, so the first thing you guys do is don't stop what you're doing, right? Like with routines, right? Don't stop what you are doing that got you to this point, at least in the beginning. So let me explain. So if you have been doing a set of routines that got you to manifest your SP with success, don't immediately abandon ship. That is like literally shooting yourself on the foot right there. Don't, right? whatever that you have been doing thus far, continue. Simply continue. Don't stop. Keep going, right? And the reason why I say it is this, right? Is because when you abandon ship immediately, it means you are giving room to yourself to revert back into the old state of mind, right? If you're not doing your techniques, chances are, especially once you know your SP is in your life, right? You may revert back into the old state, right? And you're like, okay, I did the work, I've done it all, I've manifested my SP now, so I don't really have to do any of those things, and I can just be quote unquote who I am, right? That's the kind of thought process that a few folks kind of approach it from. And here's the issue, right? Ideally speaking, who you are should be the new man, right? And if you're not the new man yet, right, not an issue, but you keep continuing your routine, you work on your self concept, which I'll get into later, and you do all your routines and you keep doing all those things that you did thus far to get you here, right? Just because you have gotten USP doesn't mean that your state of mind is cemented, like that everything is 100% kind of cemented there, right? Especially when your SP comes into your life, like things are still kind of volatile, things are very fluid, so you want to make sure that you are still kind of continuing it even after like you have manifested your SP, just to kind of get the momentum and the hang of it. Because there are going to be new things, and I'm going to be talking about this down the line as well, but there are new challenges that you may have that may warrant you to kind of keep this maintenance process going, right? Like just because you have constructed something doesn't mean there's no maintenance there. And the only thing really essentially you are doing with techniques, right, is maintaining a favorable set of thoughts. Now if you can tell me that you can maintain a favorable set of thoughts with regards to your SP and everything that surrounds it, without the aid of any techniques, by all means go ahead, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what truly matters. But essentially you want to maintain a favorable thought process with regards to SP, right? So this leads me into self-concept. Maintain a proper self-concept. Now I've always said this to my clients, right? And that is, you don't need a proper self-concept in order to manifest an SP. And they're like, wait, what? Like, and they always go into that kind of a mode, right? And even I didn't like really comprehend this. Like I didn't believe it when I heard this from a few other YouTubers as well. But when I did this on my own, when I went through this journey on my own, right, I was like, oh yes, they're actually right. Like when I because I went through a few like trial and error kind of process, and I remember like I was like, oh, my self concept was really kind of the same, I'm not sure, but I still manifested, right? So I was like, what's really going on here? Like is self concept really necessary to kind of manifest anything that I want, not just an SP per se, but like because I've manifested things with a pretty shitty self concept, if I'm being honest, like my job and all other things like friends and whatnot. The key thing, and even my clients have done this as well, right? Like their self concept is like meh, and then they did like manage to manifest an SP back into their lives. But here's where it comes to bite you, I would say, is the longevity of the relationship. Can you sustain it? That is where like self concept really comes into play. That is where self concept really 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 comes into play, I would say, is the longevity of it. I always tell this to my clients. When it comes to manifesting them, it's not a big deal, you can manifest them, but when it comes to the longevity of it, it really really is important. So for that reason, ideally when you are manifesting an SP, you may want to start working on your self concept, which most of you do. But if you're not one of those types, like you may want to start looking into self concept. Number two, right, when you are working on your self concept and everything, right, like you would not feel threatened by any of their actions, or you would not feel insecure, right? And what self concept does is it gives you the peace of mind, because you know that even if they do something, unfavorable or something, that they're not going anywhere, one, and you can do manifest, their change. So it's fine, it's all right, like things are going to be fine. And when you come at it from that perspective, it's like, you are in such in a happy state, you are such in a peaceful state that, like, yeah, whatever that they do, the actions are irrelevant. You're like, you just take it as objective feedback. You are like, oh, they're doing this right now, cool, I'm going to change it, I'm going to intend for, for them to do XYZ from now, and then you just kind of go. But that kind of a thought process can't happen if you don't have a strong self concept. Whereas if you are, like not having a strong self concept, you'll be like, okay, well, is this action going to lead to XYZ, causing us to break up again? I don't want to lose this, and things like that, right? Like your mind will kind of spiral. So to kind of stop that spiraling, to kind of put an end to this, we really work on our self concept, right? And the other thing, I feel like that's worth talking about is micromanaging things, right? I understand that, one of the things that a lot of people will tell me is about, I don't want to lose this person again, I don't want to go through whatever I did again. And you know what, I get it, but that doesn't mean you are going to analyze every single one of your moves and kind of like pitch it or compare it against like your SPs and what they have done thus far, right? Like SPs moves, right? They make it like a chess game essentially, if I'm really being honest, like pawn to d7 and like queen to, e5 or something like that, I don't know. And it's like, why are you managing it like that, right? Like at the end of the day, if you just come at it from a place of love, right, and if you have been doing everything that you are doing thus far, like you don't have to micromanage anything, you don't have to, right? When you stabilize yourself within, everything on the outside and everyone on the outside will fall into place. You just have to trust the process. If you can manifest your SP back into your life, you can do anything, right? Like, so fret not, but I would say, like just maintain the favorable mental diet, which I'll get into later. And don't treat it like a, like a chess game, or don't feel like you have to walk on eggshells, if you will, right? So don't micromanage anything, don't overanalyze their words, and worse, like, especially if you are, a lady, right? Because I've noticed this more in my female clients than in my male clients, and I'm going to definitely make that distinction here. And yeah, so this is something, and this is like, I feel like, and this could be my limiting belief, I guess, but this is something I've noticed more in my female clients. But I definitely want to say this is, do not discuss it with your female friends, right? Trust me, especially in the beginning, I would say it would be ideal for you to not say refrain from like sharing your happiness with anyone, but it's more like, don't be like, okay, hey, my guy did XYZ, like what should I do? Like, don't ask that type of an advice. Like, I'm not saying, okay, you shouldn't share your happiness with them, you shouldn't share your happiness with your friends and family and loved ones and whatnot. I'm not saying that, but I am saying, like, don't ask their advice as to how you should proceed. Again, coming back to the whole chess analogy, right? Like, this isn't a game of chess. You don't have to respond a certain way so as to quote unquote not seem needy and things like that, right? As long as you come at it from a place of love, as long as you're being genuine, that is all that matters, right? Don't play mind games with them, don't play hard to get, right? Oh, maybe I should text less so that my self concept is like, it's not about actions, right? You can do, regardless of what you do or you don't do, certain outcomes are like bound to happen if you don't have a favorable set of thoughts, right? Like, okay, like I'll give you an example, right? Like, you let's say you're driving a car on the road, right? And you have unfavorable thoughts, but this car is like pristine condition, everything, you check the brake fluids, you checked everything, you make sure all systems are functioning and good to go, and then you go on a road trip, right? And you know that this car is like perfectly safe, right? And then a truck hits you, like, why? Because your thoughts weren't favorable. You get what I mean? Like, your actions were all technically correct, right? Like, you checked your brake fluids, and like, you checked every inch of the car before you started your journey, but there was no way you can anticipate the truck hitting you. That was not in your quote unquote control in the 3D, right? So essentially what we would want to do is simply maintain a favorable set of thoughts, and regardless of what you do or you don't do, guess what, favorable things are always going to happen. Again, coming back to the car analogy, say you are driving like a very crappy car, right, and then you're going on a journey, right, and regardless of what you do or you don't do, things are always going to pan out favorably. Fine enough, the car may break down, but maybe a tow truck just nicely passes by you, and they offer you lift, or someone does like offer you lift, and they have that car like towed away later, and they may even like offer to pay for it, just because they want to treat you or something. Like, I'm just saying, right, like you couldn't have anticipated that either, right? Sure, you didn't do anything in the 3D, but because your thoughts were favorable, everything kind of aligned for you. This is how it works, right? So don't be discussing it with people and thinking about it like a chess game, where you're thinking about the next move to make according to theirs and things like that, right? So you just do you just be you, maintain a favorable set of thoughts, and keep going, right? Come at it from a place of love, right? You just text them normally as you would, without the fear of appearing too needy or whatsoever, and you just intend for the best. So that leads me to the next thing: intending, assuming, and affirming. You can add slash everywhere, right? Like, so intending, assuming, and affirming for the best, essentially, right? And don't come at this from a place of fear, right? Like, come at it from a place of love as much as possible. Assume the best case scenario. You can think about it. Okay, if this were to go in the best case scenario, what will it lead me to? Marriage, right? Maybe engagement. Maybe that's your milestone, right? So you never know what it's going to lead you to. So envision the best case scenario and dwell in that, rather than fear-based thoughts, right? Okay, for example, a lot of people will say, well, what if they leave me, right? What if the breakup happens again? I don't want to lose them again. Or what if they find someone better than me? No such thing, right? So you assume and envision only the best case scenarios, and you even affirm for it, and I feel like that would really, really help you, right? So yeah, I would say, like, maintain a favorable set of thoughts and everything like that. And this leads me to mental diet, essentially, right? So I've always mentioned the 4 things with regards to an SP, right? How you see yourself, how you see SP, how you view your overall relationship dynamic, and last but not least, how you think SP views you. Now, make sure that all 4 of these things are favorable. Your perception of SP, like if they do something, if they're not messaging you, if they're hanging out late at night, don't revert back to the old story where you're like, okay, maybe they're with someone else, or are they thinking about me, what's going on, do they not love me? Don't spiral into such thoughts, right? Like, assume the best, right? Maintain a favorable thought process. You can be like, okay, they are thinking about me all the time, they are a very loving person, and things like that. And you can say, like, we have the best relationship ever, we are living the life of our dreams, they treat me like the prize, and I'm the king or queen, and things like that. And I feel like that would really, really help you a lot there. So maintain a favorable mental diet, guys. I feel like that is of paramount importance. So maintain that as much as you can, guys, and I feel like that is really going to help you a lot in just maintaining and sustaining the relationship, right? And these are things I would say you need to take note of when it comes to manifesting an SP. And always intend the best, and that they view you as the prize. And when you are with them, remember, it's more about your thoughts than your actions. So you just be you, right? You just enjoy yourself with them. Don't micromanage anything. Don't read in between the lines and everything like that when it comes to them, right? You're not in a courtroom, right? This is a relationship, right? Like, it blossoms, and where there's love, right? So give them ample love, and give yourself ample love as well, because that has to be pushed out through them, right? And don't jump into conclusions. And I think, like, just being yourself, right? Like, if you felt like, okay, maybe I need to clear something with this person out, and I've had this thought, like, even before we got into a relationship, and I just want to clarify with XYZ with this person. Don't be paranoid. You just ask them, right? Set your intentions, and you just ask them. Get it over with, right? Rather than that paranoia eating you up, right? Because I've done it before. Some of my clients have done it before, and it's not a very nice feeling, and I can totally empathize with that. So I would say like be honest with your SP. Don't like kind of bottle things up just because you have a fear of losing them. You won't lose them. It's okay. It's completely fine. You're gonna like be in their life because or should I say they are going to be in your life regardless of what you do, because they love you unconditionally, right? So plant favorable thoughts in your mind even after you have manifested them. And if your affirmations or your script changes, by all means, like, go ahead and take the time to kind of reevaluate your affirmations, your scripts, and so on, and change them accordingly to read them and use them, right? Because obviously maybe you were doing it in milestones and your first milestone was manifesting an SP, but after that you wanted something else, right? Like you wanted maybe engagement or marriage, or you want a living together relationship, like whatever it may be. So you tweak your affirmations according to that, and you start affirming that instead. And I feel like these are things you need to take note of. And the other thing I would say is that don't let anyone's words get to you, right? This is also kind of harkens back into the point of like discussing it with your friends and whatnot. Don't let anyone like feed seeds of fear into your mind. Always come at it from an empowered perspective. Always remember that everyone is you pushed out, so regardless of who they are right now, they can be conformed, and they will be conformed into your new thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs if you persist in that, right? Because why do we have to persist, right? Is because Neville says like the states are so rapidly changing that we can't stay in one. So the mind can't like just manifest XYZ for us, right? Because we are not, the states are rapidly changing. So what happens is that the dominant ones gets reflected, right? So it's not just like one dominant thought, it's like a set of dominant thoughts, right? Maybe my dominant thoughts about car causes me to only see vintage cars. Maybe my dominant thoughts about women causes like certain type of women to always show up in my life, like certain archetype of women to always show up in my life. So definitely make a mental note of that. And I feel like these are the things that would really help you when it comes to things to take note of once you have manifested your SP. If you guys have any other questions, do let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be more than happy to answer it. So if this video resonated with you guys, be sure to drop a like and a subscribe. Turn on the bell notification so that you guys will know when I upload a new video every single week. Our subscriber count is growing, so I have nothing but good things to say about this community, and I thank you guys so much. Keep sending me the content suggestions, and one correction that I've made to the suggestions is I initially let people choose like what platform do they want me to address it in, but now I'm going to be actually addressing like in whatever platform that I want to, and I will just like kind of ping whoever asked that question directly, and just kind of send it to them so that's easier. And the reason why I remove like what format they wanted it in is because what happens is I may feel like this is like a post long, but they want a mailing list article, or if I think like maybe this content is maybe TikTok worthy, can be covered in a minute, but they want a entire YouTube video for that. So it's kind of these kinds of constraints, so I'm kind of like just removing it so that like people don't have the option. I'll just do the appropriate platform that I feel like doing, because certain points are easier to discuss, certain points like this takes a little bit of time, so according to that, and then I will just kind of share those links with them, guys. So definitely email me if you guys have any questions. Let me know what you guys think once again in the comments. And guys, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for your support. So stay safe and happy manifesting. Peace.